A few months before my wedding, my best friend suddenly became obsessed with every detail of my ceremony. She wanted the same decorations, the same colors, even the same photographer. I thought it was weird, but ignored it. Then she announced her own wedding date, and somehow it was scheduled just 2 weeks before mine. As plans continued, I realized she was copying almost everything. What really shocked me was when guests started messaging me, asking why I was copying her wedding style. She had been telling people that all of my ideas were actually hers. I stayed quiet until the wedding week, when several friends shared screenshots proving she had copied my plans, after seeing my private wedding documents. The messages spread through our entire friend group. By the time her wedding happened, everyone knew the truth. She spent months trying to make me look jealous, but instead, she exposed herself and lost most of her closest friends. One email turned my entire family upside down. I took a DNA test because I thought it would be fun to learn about my ancestry. A few weeks later, I got a match notification from a woman I'd never heard of. The problem was that she was listed as my half-sister. At first, I thought the test was wrong, but the numbers were impossible to ignore. I messaged her and we started comparing details. We were born in the same city. We looked alike. And then she told me the name of her father. It was my dad. I confronted him that night and watched the color leave his face. After 30 years of marriage, my mom had no idea. The woman wasn't a scammer, she wasn't mistaken, and she wasn't looking for money. She was simply looking for answers. By the end of the week, my father admitted everything. The biggest shock wasn't that I had a secret sister. It was realizing she had spent her entire life searching for a family that never knew she existed. The worst neighbor I've ever had thought he owned the empty lot next to my house. He parked junk cars there, let his dog run loose, left messes everywhere, and even yelled at contractors like he was the owner. For months, he acted like nobody could stop him. Then one day, I got a notice from the city saying the lot was actually for sale. I couldn't believe it, so I bought it. Overnight, everything changed. I politely asked him to remove his junk car and stop using my property. He laughed and ignored me. So I started documenting everything. Animal control got involved. The city got involved. Then the police had his last junk vehicle towed away. When officers showed up, he stormed outside screaming that the land was his. That's when they informed him that I was the legal owner. Watching his face when he realized he had spent months bullying the wrong person was worth every penny. My wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, until my sister showed up wearing a white dress. Not cream, not beige, bright, bridal white. My family begged me not to make a scene, so I tried to ignore it. Throughout the ceremony, she kept inserting herself into photos and acting like she was the main character. I was furious, but stayed quiet, because I didn't want to ruin my wedding day. Then came the reception. During her speech, she joked that people might mistake her for the bride. The room went completely silent. And then something amazing happened. My grandmother stood up, grabbed the microphone, and said there was no way anyone would confuse the bride, because the bride was the only person in the room with class. The entire room burst into applause. My sister left in tears, and she wasn't in a single wedding photo by the end of the night. I parked my car on a public street and woke up to one of the most ridiculous notes I've ever seen. A neighbor had left a message telling me I should be ashamed of myself for parking in front of their house. They said I was young, healthy, and should park farther away so they could keep the space. The problem was that it wasn't their space. It was public street parking. At first, I thought it was a joke, but they kept leaving notes and acting like they owned the road. I started wondering if I had done something wrong, so I checked local rules and even asked around. Everyone told me the same thing. I was completely within my rights. When I shared the story online, thousands of people sided with me. The biggest twist was realizing my neighbor genuinely believed the street belonged to them. They weren't enforcing a rule. They had invented one. My best friend volunteered to help plan my wedding, and I trusted her completely. She handled decorations, invitations, and even coordinated with some vendors. Everything seemed perfect, until guests started asking me strange questions. Apparently, my friend had been telling people she was the reason the wedding was happening, and that I couldn't manage anything myself. I was upset, but then the real twist came. A vendor accidentally sent me an email chain showing my friend had tried to replace several wedding details with options featuring her own business, and had secretly been charging commissions behind my back. She was making money from my wedding without telling me. When I confronted her, she admitted everything and said she deserved it because she had worked so hard. The friendship ended that day. The person I trusted most wasn't helping me celebrate my wedding. She was using it to profit from me. My neighbor spent years making everyone's life miserable, and then one tiny mistake cost him thousands. He threw loud parties until morning, left trash everywhere, and constantly annoyed the entire neighborhood. One night, I spotted something lying near the curb after one of his parties. It was the key fob to his brand new convertible. The roof was still down, and it looked like he had accidentally dropped the keys while stumbling home drunk. I could have returned them immediately, but instead, I nudged them under a nearby trash bin and went inside. Then it started raining. Hard. The next morning, I watched the chaos unfold. His wife discovered the soaked interior first and started screaming. He insisted he had done everything correctly. They spent hours arguing while the damage became obvious. The twist came later when I realized the keys were still exactly where he dropped them. Nobody sabotaged the car. His own carelessness destroyed it, and everyone blamed him for it. My bridesmaid tried to make my wedding all about her, and it only got worse. Everything seemed normal until the reception started. She suddenly grabbed the microphone and announced that she had exciting news. Before I could react, she revealed her pregnancy to every guest in the room. The attention instantly shifted away from the wedding. People surrounded her, congratulated her, and completely forgot about the event they were actually attending. I was furious, but I stayed quiet to avoid ruining the night. A few days later, family members started asking why I seemed upset, because she had told everyone I supported the announcement. Then the truth came out. She hadn't even told her own partner before making the announcement at my wedding. He learned about it at the same time as everyone else. The backlash was immediate, and the person who ended up apologizing to dozens of angry relatives wasn't me. It was her. A woman knocked on my door and completely destroyed my life. I opened it, expecting a delivery, but instead she introduced herself and said she was my husband's wife. I laughed because I thought it was some kind of joke. Then she showed me photos. Not just photos of my husband, but photos of him living with her. Family dinners, vacations, holidays. At first I thought they were fake, but then she showed me pictures with their children. We compared dates and realized something terrifying. For years, while my husband was supposedly traveling for work, he was spending half his time with another family. We kept talking, and every answer made things worse. He used the same stories, the same excuses, and even celebrated anniversaries with both of us. When he finally came home, he walked into a room with both wives waiting for him. The look on his face said everything. I thought I was confronting a cheating husband. Instead, I discovered I'd been sharing an entire marriage with a stranger for almost a decade. My parents managed to ruin my wedding before it even started. The night before, my mom informed me she had invited extra relatives without asking. Then my dad showed up already drinking. I tried to ignore it because I just wanted one happy day. But things got worse fast. During the ceremony, my parents kept making everything about themselves. At the reception, my dad got drunk and started causing scenes with guests. My mom defended him and blamed me for being upset. Instead of celebrating with my husband, I spent most of my wedding trying to stop family drama. Then came the final blow. While everyone else was congratulating us, my parents started arguing loudly and drawing attention away from the ceremony. Guests were uncomfortable, people left early, and the entire atmosphere collapsed. After the wedding, they refused to apologize. They insisted I was overreacting. That hurt more than anything. I expected support on the most important day of my life, but my parents turned my wedding into a memory I still struggle to think about.